Well, hello gardeners, welcome back. So you guys are getting ready to start your garden and you're wondering what to do first. Well, today's video is about 5 key essential things that I do when I'm looking at a new space for a new garden. Doing these 5 things before you start putting that first plant in the tree in the ground, before you go to that nursery and get all the fun stuff done, these things are gonna save you time, money, and quite a bit of a headache. I've been doing this for well over 25 years now. I am a landscape designer and I do this for my clients every single week. We transform outdoor spaces, front yards, backyards, landscape design and installation. So these are things that I run across so very often. And what I notice is a lot of times the original landscape on a home maybe wasn't set up so bad, but because of some of these things that got missed in the landscape, it really caused harm and things had to be ripped out and removed and changed just because these few things haven't been done. So I thought it was important enough to make a video today to share those key things that I keep seeing over and over and over again in hopes that this is going to help you guys, help you DIYers out there to kind of get this handled right off the bat. So let's jump right in. All right, for the first tip and the first thing to consider in your garden is if you've decided where you're going to have your landscape beds and it might interfere with some drainage issues, you know, say it's your gutter line or the corner of your house, water really cascades over in this area. You definitely want to consider what you're going to use in that particular spot. Make sure it is a tough plant. But most importantly, if you can, if it's in your budget or if it's something that you want to do prior to a landscape company coming out, attach, just like we did here, attach a pipe to the gutter itself and then bring it right out into the lowest section of the yard. This is a pretty good example here because you guys can really see the elevation pitch. Not always do we have this much an extreme pitch, but it is ideal to make sure that you can take that line all the way out into the lowest section of the garden, because now this is the area that water is going to gravitate to. This is the area that is going to overflow with water. We use an emitter at the very end of our pipe. It's kind of like a sprinkler head. It pops up when water pressure is inside and then just releases. It's an ideal thing to know that when we get those heavy cascading rains and I've got a metal roof, that water really just comes off of that like crazy, that I know that this is going to be outside not only my pavers, but it's going to be outside my landscape bed into the grass line. So when you're planning for your garden, you don't have to worry about raising your landscape bed up too high because there's already kind of a water level here. What's ideal about that is that you can make sure that your landscaping has dry feet. Sorry, Red says hello, you guys. Your landscaping itself has dry feet because all the water is now going to go exactly where you tell it to go. It's going to go exactly to that spot, that lowest section of the yards. If you guys can do that before your landscaper is there, great. If if it's not in your wheelhouse, then and you have the budget for it, then definitely make that a part of your landscape package because that's an ideal thing to do just to make sure all the way around your house you've collected that water and gotten it outside those beds before the first plant or tree ever goes into the ground. For the second tip, edging. Will you be needing landscaping edging as part of your project? Now, I have met with a lot of clients. I get this question all the time. Depending on the type of landscape style, there are 3 kind of reasons why you would be needing landscape edging in, and you want to kind of keep that in consideration because it is going to be part of your budget. So the first reason that I would say, if we're going to do a landscape bed for you and we're going to install stone, then you absolutely want some type of edging. I have edging defining different types of stone that we're working with. So if you're going to divide rock from mulch or rock from grass, you definitely want a nice defined edge border that's really going to hold everything into place. It is super important to kind of have a good edging for that. When your landscaping ground cover is stone, then you're really going to need to have something that's going to define and kind of give yourself a barrier for when your maintenance guy, or maybe you do it yourself, come along through and edge that area. Because if he tries to edge it without an edger in place, that's when that rock goes everywhere. So having that defining line really makes sure that he edges along the edging, not necessarily the stone itself. The second time to be using edging is if you're having a mulch bed. Say we're doing a landscaping and you're going to do a mulch ground cover. You don't always need edging for that, but a lot of times what I found is it's a great way to kind of keep the bed from expanding over time. Now you guys have seen lawn maintenance guys do this where you'll have maybe a 6-foot little area or a looped bed planting, and then over the year, because you can't kind of find the line that's defined, the line gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that 6 foot turns into 15 foot over a year, and you're like, that bed really grew on its own. That's exactly how it happens. So having a defined edge line doesn't mean that the guy's not going to edge or you're not going to edge over time. It just gives you that fine line to edge along. So that way you always have a nice form-fitting bed, you know, the outline of it. So having a nice defined edging for that is ideal. And for the last reason, it's strictly aesthetic appeal. Let me kind of show you what I mean on that one. So as you guys saw that I have the aluminum alloy edging separating the rock patterns here, but as we get into this, I love the rustic charm of a boulder edge. Now this is a small handheld boulder edge that we've leveled out because I needed to have a little bit of a rise. Everything in this particular bed needs additional drainage. So I needed a little bit of a height line here. So we kind of created a retaining wall. Now you can do this with boulders, you can do this with coquina, you can do this with stacked stone. There's so many different ways. Whatever your aesthetic is, it's an ideal thing to do just to kind of give you a different little bit of elevation in the garden. And then of course my other edging is the Buda edging. I love how I have so many different varieties of edgings in the garden because I feel like that contrast makes for an interesting space. It's like, oh, what's going on here? And just when you think you got it figured out, now you've got a kind of a different look. You might have one more seamless, one more clean lines, one more rustic. And having that kind of all pulled together, I think is ideal in any type of gardening space. I think it adds to that look with something that doesn't require any maintenance. So something that's actually doing the job for you in the gardens. Edging is definitely something to consider because it is something that's going to be part of your price point, and it's a forever piece. It's a piece that once it's in, once it's done, that is now part of your gardens. Definitely consider that when you're putting together kind of your garden plans, and especially if you're thinking about some different elevations. All right, for the third tip today is eradicating those weeds in the garden while there is nothing there. So if you guys haven't started your garden yet, this is the ideal time to kind of get to a fresh start, a blank slate as you have it. If you have weeds in your garden and they're an aggressive weed, definitely eliminate them right off the bat. Give yourself time. Don't rush the new planting. Make sure that you treat the weeds, whatever your method is, whether you use a natural product or you use a herbicide, you want to make sure that you've eliminated those pockets of weeds through that space. And then you want to give it a little bit more time. So each weed seed, going from a seed itself to a new weed, is about 15 days. So maybe every 10 days to 2 weeks, it's a really good idea just to kind of come through and either pick or pull or spray those weeds until you've got a nice clean bed. Because if you do that now, then now when your new plantings come in, you're not fighting that. You're not having the headache of trying to pull those weeds in between all your new plantings because you've got now a clean soil, a clean base to work with. So I'm actually facing that with a client right now where his existing landscape has just kind of been taken over with a really aggressive weeds. And he wants to go back in with a clean line landscape. And I think that it's going to be absolutely stunning for his property. But I told him if he's not in too big of a hurry, let's do it this way first. Even though I had a booking availability in 3 weeks, we pushed him out to 6 weeks. So that way we can treat the area, get it real good and free of weeds. And that way, whatever he's dealing with in the future into those beds, it's just what's been dropped from seedlings. It's not something that's already in the ground, something that's going to be tilled and turned and new weeds popping up through the garden, because that is a giant headache, especially when you have new plantings that are just starting to grow in. You don't want to have weeds that are growing in just as fast, because think of this. Now that this area is now going to be planted, it's got good new soil put in, it's been fertilized, it's getting adequate water. So think about what's going to grow faster, your weeds or your landscaping. So if you can eradicate them right off the bat, just get them out and over with, right? Sorry, Red really wants to be in today's video, you guys. That is something super, super important. So kind of get that right off the bat, and then you're going to be so happy with just maintaining your garden over the long term because you have made it a weed-free zone. Or you can do it what I've done here, where I've done a compilation of plant groupings where it's a big, thick, layered layout. So although I did have to battle the weeds initially when we first came into the garden, now that everything's established, everything's grown in, all the ground cover is in, there's no light underneath, you know, it's kind of like a ground forest, I don't have to worry about weeds coming in because I don't have anything exposed. So that's another way to keep things low maintenance. The first way, of course, is to get rid of the weeds all from the beginning. And the second way, if you do like that kind of jungle-inspired type of vibe, then leave no ground untouched. Make sure that everything is covered, and then that's really going to help you long-term from any kind of weed or seedlings popping up from under the ground.
So guys, I will be taking over tip 4, and tip 4 is knowing your soil and knowing your plant palette. Now, knowing your soil is important because it lets you know what your garden is deficient in. All you need to do is get a soil sample and send that to your local extension office, or I believe the University of Florida does it as well. You can just send it in, they'll give you the results back of what your yard is deficient in. Or an alternative option is driving through your neighborhood and seeing what does well in other people's yards. A lot of the times, neighborhoods share similar soil, backfilled from when the neighborhood was first created. That's one of the first things that I do when I meet with somebody for a design is I take a quick 10-minute trip around the neighborhood and I mark out what does well in the neighboring houses. So whenever I'm meeting with them, I'm saying, oh, I've seen this flourish. This one does really well. It grows very tall, very strong. And for those of you guys who are also new to Florida, this is a great tip. Maybe you're not familiar with the USDA zones. What can survive here? What cannot? You're seeing this video, this is in 10A and you're in zone 9B. The best way I could say, figure out what works well in your area is to drive around, see what's flourishing, and add that to your plant palette, your shopping list for your future garden. And by seeing what's doing well and what's flourishing, you're able to go and then research what does well in the same soil type. Or, shameful plug by the way, you could just get our book and it tells all that information. It should be down in the link in the description. It gives 50 hardy plants in South Florida, as well as some companion plants that like to live together.
All right, you guys, so right before we get into our next tip, I did forget to say, please like, subscribe. If this is your kind of content, this is your kind of jam, and this is the type of videos that you like to see, and you are researching to do your very own garden, then please check us out every week. We put a video up every single Saturday, and we would love to see you as part of our True Gardener community. So thank you guys, true gardeners out there. But for our last tip today is create a landscape plan. And it doesn't have to be anything super elaborate. If you have a site plan or if you have a plot plan of your house, kind of start sketching things out before you hit that nursery run, before you go to the nursery and pick everything beautiful there and then start your planning like a weekend warrior out there. Definitely put some time into creating a landscape plan for yourself. There is a good system to follow. I'm going to link my video down below of levels and kind of how you start with kind of creating walls and roof lines and then, building upon the landscape, and if this is the type of look that you guys like. And I'll also link Bryce's video on how to create a tropical backyard from scratch. Now, this is going to be with our landscape software, but the fundamentals are the same. If you just kind of follow along those guidelines, then if this is a type of garden that you like, if you're more into the retreat style gardens, that's going to be something that's going to help kind of give you a forefront, kind of give you a little bit of a head start on where to start, and then you can kind of go nursery shopping and add all the fun stuff to it. But creating something like that really gives you a roadmap of exactly where you start and where you end up is going to be exactly where you want both to be. Then for those of you guys who need a little bit more than inspiration here, you're needing a little bit more than the research that you're creating and would love to have a design done for you, then your girl here is a landscape designer, and we provide landscape designs for most of Florida. We do virtual consults for all of Florida, and then we do landscape design and installation for along the Treasure and Space Coast. So we're happy to meet with you if any of those services are something that you're looking for. Having a really good detailed eye on where you're going in your garden is going to save you tons in the future. And if you guys have visited the nurseries, then you know landscaping is expensive. So having it done right the first time, really working through these videos and doing your research and doing your background and picking landscape designers' brains, and you're getting 25 years plus of experience of what I've come across. Of every single video, I try to impart a little bit of my knowledge and my mistakes, and I hope that comes across on these videos, so that way you guys can take those tools and get it right the first time, because that is a deal breaker when it comes to gardening. Gardening is hard enough, and if we can make it easier on ourselves, then let's do it. Thank you guys so much. Please link whatever tip helped you the most, and if there's anything that did help you a ton as you're working through your landscape process, please put it in the comments down below. Those true gardeners that are coming to Florida or young at gardening, those are the things that are going to help them tremendously be successful in a Florida garden. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to do that, because it is so truly helpful. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, I will be sure to link Bryce's video right over here of creating a landscape design, and I hope to see you guys next weekend. Take care.